Sony Xperia 1 Mark V. Well, it was a good run while it lasted because we changed, of course, the form factor with the Mark VI, where it's got a slightly shorter, slightly wider dimension on it. But taking a look at the Xperia 1 Mark V a year later, it still could be the best option for most folks here in the United States. Why? Well, it still got the same camera. It still has a 5,000 milliamp battery. It still has a Snapdragon 8 Generation 2. It still has many of the same features, capabilities, like you take a look at the headphone jack, you take a look at the SD card slot, you take a look at the dedicated shutter button. The new one even still has the exact stuff when it comes to the Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the front and the Victus, which is textured on the back. There's not a whole lot of day-to-day performance stuff that you're really going to miss out on that much, and we're still going to get one more operating system update on the Xperia 1 Mark V, which of course was the last Sony phone announced and launched here in the United States. Sad but true, the Xperia 1 Mark VI was not launched in the United States for reasons unknown to me, but probably because they don't sell very well. So if you're watching this video, count yourself in the lucky select few of the fans of Sony Xperia phones, which I don't know, maybe I'm the captain of Team Sony. I still love these phones. And yeah, I get a lot of questions about this because a lot of people like some of the stuff with the Xperia 1 Mark VI. We got some great things. We got the first vapor chamber. We got basically twice the battery life. We got the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3, better speakers. We got a brighter screen. We got the further out zoom capabilities. When it comes to the continuous zoom, goes to 7.1 now. So there's a lot of nice things. There's a lot of creature comforts. There's a lot of quality of life stuff. We got the unification of the camera app. So everything is all in one camera app now, as opposed to having Cinema Pro, having Video Pro, having the camera app. A lot of that stuff really is one of the big things and the defining characteristic of the Sony phones that irked people for so long. So I feel like the Xperia 1 Mark VI came along, streamlined that, finally gave us a little bit more computational photography when it comes to the cameras and the auto mode and things like that. So there is stuff that we got there. Of course, we also have 3 years of operating system updates with the Xperia 1 Mark VI and 4 years of security patches. So Sony definitely listened, but they also kind of isolated and cut off some of their fans who really appreciate the traditional form factor, because we have the 19 by 5 by 9 aspect ratio now, and they shaved it down. So it's 3 millimeters shorter, 3 millimeters wider. And once you use it, I really love the Xperia 1 Mark VI. I love how bright the screen is, but they took away one of the crowning defining characteristics of the phone, which was the 4K. It's only a full HD plus 1080p screen. Over here, you have the capability of 4K. So when it comes to supported content, you can watch it 21 by 9, the full cinematic aspect ratio. You don't want to see my icons there, but the full cinematic aspect ratio, 21 by 9. And we also had the cool stuff when it came to the sound, where it would do like the vibration in tune with your music, in tune with the movies. And it really made for probably the best cinematic experience you could get. Of course, so the screen's not as bright. That's one thing that's kind of a trade-off. And also the phone is on the narrow side, which has never been a problem for me because I don't like big, huge, bulky phones. I think they did a good job with the Sony. It's definitely lighter, definitely more manageable than, let's say, the iPhone 15 Pro Max or the S24 Ultra, S23 Ultra. But there was just something about the skinny and tall Xperia 1 Mark V and also its predecessors, the Mark IV, Mark III. And of course, both phones, neither one support facial recognition, which I wish they'd get on board with one day, but it doesn't irk me too much because we have the fingerprint scanner and the power button, which is something that I love. So if you're still a Sony fan and you're still interested, you're going to get a lot of the same daily experience because the OS experience, the software, they're identical between both phones. There's no real difference there whatsoever. You still get another year of support, and you still get the same camera. You still get the primary camera, the ultra wide, and the selfie camera. No change there. Like, it's still the same phone. And then when it comes to the telephoto, they did reach out and make it 7.1, so you did get a little bit of an extension on that, but at its base value and heart, especially in the mid-range, you still get the same continuous zoom in the Xperia 1 Mark V. It doesn't go up to 7.1, but it goes to just, I believe, 5.4. So you're still not missing out on a whole lot when it comes to that stuff. So if you're happy with the Xperia 1 Mark V, well, you can continue to keep it and use it. And if you're interested in picking one up, then of course you can go that route too. And one big distinction though, because there is US model, you're going to get better carrier support. You're going to get much better full 5G experience. I've been able to go into the software on the Xperia 1 Mark VI and kind of finagle the settings a little bit, and the 5G indicator pops up, but it's not as good as 5G. And it's one of those things where I have had some inconsistencies with phone calls and had some call drops and things like that. So from a cell phone perspective, especially in the United States, for making phone calls and having a more reliable connection for your phone and your internet and things like that. The Xperia 1 Mark V in the United States is still going to win. And I don't know if we'll see an Xperia 1 Mark 7. If we do see one, I don't know if it's going to come back to the States. I sincerely hope that it does. But at face value, and as things are right now, the Xperia 1 Mark 5, again, it may still be the best option for folks here in the United States. And if you take a look at the Snapdragon 8 Generation 2 and the 8 Generation 3, yes, there are some improvements. Yes, the Xperia 1 Mark 6 has better battery life and it has better metrics when it comes to benchmarks, but where the rubber meets the road, you're still going to get fantastic performance when it comes to day-to-day usage, when it comes to gameplay. This is still one of the best phones you can get for gaming, and it still has all the other niceties. You still, like I said, get the headphone jack, the SD card slot, all that great stuff, which are defining features that this phone has. So I'm still a big fan of the Xperia 1 Mark V. I think that it's a great phone, and I think that both of these phones both offer something excellent. And the sad reality is, though, is if you want to get the Xperia 1 Mark 6, you got to pay a lot of money, and you got to have it imported. You got to get it from some other overseas carrier, like overseas merchant, right? You got to get it through eBay. Maybe it'll be available through Amazon soon, but you're going to have to buy it. It's going to be a third party. It's not going to likely be supported on your carrier in the way that you want it to. And then I don't even know about Verizon or AT&T, because of course they don't allow, AT&T doesn't allow 5G on non-whitelisted phones. And what does whitelisted phone mean? It means that it's a phone they actually support, right? So if you have an Xperia 1 Mark 6 with AT&T, I haven't tried it with that. I've been using it with T-Mobile, and with T-Mobile, it does work whenever it comes to 5G, but it's not as good as with the Xperia 1 Mark 5. Like Xperia 1 Mark 6 definitely is a question mark there, like with Verizon. I've never tried it. I don't know, so I can't recommend it in that department. But I do know it works with T-Mobile. so there's that. So like I said, there's still a lot of life left in the tank. There's still juice left in this phone. The Snapdragon 8 Generation 2, no slouch. It's a phenomenal chip. But again, one of the big things that's different is the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3 doubles down and puts more emphasis on AI. If you've used a Sony phone, you know that there's not a whole lot of AI going on with these phones. There's not a whole lot of extras, not a whole lot of special apps and things like that. So the root experience and the power, I mean, the Snapdragon 8 Generation 2, over 3 gigahertz processor, you got 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage, and that's the same for the new phone as well. So you're not really missing out on a whole lot. And that's kind of the picture I want to paint here. Whenever it comes to the regular camera, the shots are going to look largely the same, especially in you go into pro mode or manual mode as opposed to the auto brightness or auto exposure mode, because the computational photography shows up in auto mode, not really so much in pro mode. Maybe it has a little bit of a touch and emphasis on it, but where you go into manual controls, that's you defining and taking the picture that you want to based off of what your eyes see and the changes that you make in the app. So I think there's still a lot to like here. I think if you've got one and you're interested in hanging on to it, hang on to it for another year. See what happens with the Xperia 1 Mark 7 next year, or wait till you can get one of these cheaper and maybe find a position or a way that it works out better for you. And of course, internationally, it's going to work better for more folks. But I wanted to make this video because I've been using Xperia 1 Mark 6 for about a month now, a little over a month. I got it, I think, early July, but I had to buy it myself. Sony didn't send this to me. It's something that I bought on my own. So yeah, I like the Mark 6 a lot. I think it's fantastic. I really enjoyed using it, but the Xperia Mark 5 is still a great and fantastic phone. If you're interested in picking one up, you can get one, of course, at reduced cost now, especially on third-party markets. And then if you want to hold on to the one you've got, it's still going to work for quite a little bit longer. It's not like 4 or 5 years of support like this, like the Samsungs and the Apples and the Googles, but you're still going to get one more year of operating system updates, another year of security patches beyond that. So it's still going to be a good phone, and it was a great phone and a great upgrade to the Xperia 1 Mark IV when it came out last year. So that's all I got in this video. If you have any questions or comments, thoughts, concerns, gripes, complaints, go to the comments section. I'll do my best to get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.